the Vice President and Acting President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, First Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana, the Honorable Joseph Osei Owusu, the Majority Leader of the Parliament of Ghana, the Honorable Osei Che Mensah Bonsu, the Minority Leader of Parliament of Ghana, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the Vice Chairperson of the CPA Africa region, representing the Chairperson of the CPA Africa region, Honorable Zakaria from Nigeria, the President of the Association, the Right Honorable Dr. Abbas Buntum, Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone, the Vice Chairperson of CWP, the Honorable Baroda Kayongo from Uganda, representing the Chairperson of the CWP. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, distinguished guests, and welcome to the opening of the Executive Committee meeting of the CPA Africa region. This morning, we are excited and happy to have you here in our country, and we hope that you are enjoying the proverbial Ghanaian hospitality. My name is Kate Ado, and I work with the Parliament of Ghana, and I will be your MC for this morning's program. We will start with an opening prayer by the Honorable Lydia Siriam Al-Hassan, First Deputy Majority Chief Whip of the Parliament of Ghana.
Shall we pray? Our Lord and Master Jesus, we want to thank you for such a day like this. We thank you for your continuous guidance and protection. We thank you for protecting our colleagues and members who have traveled from far and near to this meeting and also to experience our beloved Ghana. Almighty God, we commit today's meeting under your control. We ask that you grant us wisdom to engage in meaningful deliberations that would move CPA forward. We pray that the purpose for which we are here today and the overall purpose of CPA, which is to learn and strengthen Commonwealth Parliament and to oversight and to learn and strengthen Commonwealth Parliament, to deliver oversight, and also to represent CPH very well. We thank you, and we ask that at the end of it all, we will be careful to give you all the praise and to give you all the adoration. In Jesus' mighty name, I have prayed with thanksgiving. Amen.
The Honorable Lydia Al-Hassan giving us the opening prayer. May I now acknowledge the presence of the Clerk to Parliament of the Parliament of Ghana, Mr. Cyril Kwabna Oting Insiam. The Honorable Minority Leader of the Parliament of Ghana and CPA Ghana Branch Representative, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, will now give us some remarks.
Your Excellency, Vice President Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, and Acting President of the Republic of Ghana, First Deputy Speaker, standing in for Speaker Alban Sumana Bagben, the Honorable Joseph Osei Owusu, the Honorable Abbas Bundu, Excellency Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone, Honorable Solomon Lechesa, Deputy Speaker, Parliament of South Africa, and Honorable Ntombe, the Speaker of the Gauteng legislature, and very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, including the representative of Chairman Muturu. It's my pride and pleasure. Let me also acknowledge the Vice President of the CPA, the Honorable Oseichi Mensah Bonsu, and proudly note that I was a successful campaign manager supported by the Honorable Lechesa Ntombe, Muturu, Mulu, and our team, including Uncle Elijah, for getting him there. So, Vice President of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, let me acknowledge you, and Alhaji Zakaria, representing the Speaker for Nigeria. My task this morning is a very simple one, is to warmly welcome you to Accra, Ghana, and to look forward to a very fruitful and purposeful discussion on the future of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and our own future. Excellency the Vice President, is to note that given the dynamics of global politics, we are very certain that the United Kingdom in particular must take full advantage of post-Brexit to strengthen its relationship with Commonwealth countries for purposes of trade and investment and for purposes of deepening our democratic values and ethos. We are collectively united in seeking reforms of the CPA at the international level, particularly within the British House of Commons, that the leadership is so committed to. My Excellency the Vice President and Chairman is also to further observe that the executive in many countries have no reason to feel threatened by stronger parliament, and that what is important is for a stronger nexus of cooperation and collaboration between the arms of government to serve the people better. We all are struggling post-COVID to rebuild our economies. Parliament must wake up to the task of supporting the rejuvenation and rebuilding of our economies to respond to the damning consequences of COVID-19 and how we situate. As I said, is just to welcome you and wish you the usual Ghanaian hospitality. I understand that you are in Akusumbo, you enjoyed your trip. And then to the Nigerian delegation, if you are in doubt which jollof is sumptuous or which jollof is better, I invite you to the Labadi Beach Jollof as I welcome you all to our Ghanaian meal. So, Excellency, thank you for accepting to be here, and to our colleagues, we wish you a purposeful stay in Accra. God bless.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minority Leader and Chair of the CPA Ghana Branch Representative, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, for their remarks. Today is International Women's Day, and I'd like to wish all women and men a very good day. We hope that women will get equal remuneration and recognition for the work that we do, which we think is equal or more to the work that men do. With this said, may I now invite the Honorable Majority Leader. I think that deserves a better round of applause. So happy International Women's Day to all the wonderful women doing great things in our world. The Majority Leader of Ghana's Parliament is a champion of women's rights and women's activities, and I'm happy, Mr. President, to invite him to give us his remarks. He's also the Vice Chair of CPA West Africa Regional Representative and Vice Chair, CPA International. May we now welcome the Majority Leader of Ghana's Parliament, the Honorable Oseichi Mensah Bonsu.
Thank you very much, Director of Programs. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, acting as the President of the Sovereign Republic of Ghana, the Honorable First Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana, standing in for the Speaker, the President of CPA, Dr. Abbas Bundu, the Speaker of the Sierra Leonean Parliament, the representative of the Chair of CPA Africa region, the Chairperson of CWP Africa region, Right Honorable Speakers and Presiding Officers of Parliament of the African Commonwealth countries, distinguished Executive Committee members, Honorable Ministers of State, staff of the parliaments represented here today, members of the clergy, Your Excellencies, members of the party corps, development partners, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this morning's functions, which marks the official opening of the 82nd meeting of the Executive Committee of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Africa Region, here in Accra. The Executive Committee of the CPA Africa Region is the highest organ of the CPA Africa Region, the fundamental responsibility of which body is to lead the association on the continent of Africa to promote knowledge of the constitutional, legislative, economic, social, and cultural aspects of parliamentary democracy. In fulfillment of this crucial responsibility, the Executive Committee meets twice in a year. The first of such meetings in this year, 2022, is being hosted by the CPA Ghana branch. I must state that despite the significant changes that COVID-19 has caused to be affected on the activities and programs of CPA Africa region, including Executive Committee meetings, the CPA Africa region remains resolute in the discharge of its responsibilities because of our firm belief that the effective delivery of public goods and services to the citizens, particularly in times of crisis, promote the pursuit of a true democracy on the continent. Today's Executive Committee meeting, which will commence soon after this preliminary function, will discuss measures that a contemporary Commonwealth nation on the continent of Africa should adopt to transform its societies in line with the Commonwealth values of democracy, multilateralism, sustainable development, and empowerment of women and the youth. Significantly high on the agenda of today's Executive Committee meeting is the discussion on how to strengthen cooperation among the Commonwealth member states on the continent to address the devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our economies and democratic institutions. The COVID-19 crisis has hugely eroded the significant gains that the continent has chalked in the implementation of policies towards the attainment of the United Nations prescribed Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, the Africa Union's Agenda 2063, and many other such international as well as national goals. According to an expert report of the United Nations, the COVID-19 pandemic is expected to push an additional 30 million people into extreme poverty in Africa. Yet, vaccination, which science has informed us could turn things around, remains extremely low when compared to other continents. Less than 2% of Africa's population is fully vaccinated. The crisis has exacerbated the demand for public goods and services in recent times. The demand for good roads, water, electricity, housing, and employment of youth, among other demands by the citizens, have been on the rise, and yet delivery has been seriously undermined by the impact of COVID-19. The crisis has also shaken the foundations of the ideals of our democracy. We all witnessed how challenging it was for our democratic institutions to find a balance between the management of public health and the right to personal liberties, the right to protest, and conduct of democratic elections to elect political leaders. At the height of the pandemic, food production and food security came under intense threat. Industrial production was negatively impacted, with industry performing minimally and scaling down unemployment. Many were rendered jobless. Tax revenue for government slumped, and the cost of imports escalated. National debts ballooned, and this servicing has become burdensome for most developing economies. including most of us Commonwealth African countries. African countries need, as a matter of urgency, to promote diversified growth and job creation with a focus on youth, women, and the poor in marginalized areas. Stringent efforts must be made in a structured manner to increase domestic revenue mobilization and improve the quality of public expenditures and the strengthening of debt management. In all these, my inclination is for the Commonwealth member states to view the crisis and the increasing demands from our people as an opportunity to map out a different development trajectory that is more sustainable and more inclusive. Fortunately, the Commonwealth is blessed with a ready-made network spanning a diverse range of countries, making it ideally placed to help tackle these global challenges. Having known and worked with the current crop of members of the Executive Committee and the level of leadership that they have offered, I'm confident that today's meeting shall come up with pragmatic solutions as well as outcomes that capitalize on the diversity within the Commonwealth to work together and respond to the challenges confronting the continent. I'm very optimistic that you will return to your countries refreshed with fond memories of our lovely country and, more importantly, of the outcomes of this meeting. Once again, I welcome you to Ghana, our beloved country. I'm aware of your visit to Dodi Island at Kosombo, but I encourage you to seek advice from our Public Affairs Department on tourist sites and places of interest and make time to visit them before journeying back to your respective countries. God bless Commonwealth Africa and make us brave and strong to overcome the challenges of our various countries and through the transparent and accountable governance that we offer, to be able to secure for ourselves and posterity the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity. May God inspire and strengthen our leaders that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Commonwealth Africa. I thank you all very much for your indulgence.
The Vice Chair of the CPA International and Majority Leader of Ghana's Parliament and Vice Chair of the CPA West Africa Regional Representative, the Honorable Osei Che Mensah-Bonsu, with those remarks. And now, it is the turn of the Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone, who's also the President of CPA Africa Region, the Right Honorable Dr. Abbas Cheno Bundu, to give us his remarks. The Right Honorable Dr. Abbas Cheno Bundu with his remarks.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, standing in for His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Honorable First Deputy Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, colleagues, Speakers of Parliament, Honorable Members of Parliament, the distinguished majority and minority leaders of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to start by conveying fraternal greetings from the Parliament, government, and people of Sierra Leone. It's always refreshing for me to be in Ghana, the land from which so many in Africa have derived such great sense of inspiration and pride over many generations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to talk about a topic which has been with us in parliamentary circles for the longest time: gender equality. It's been around for the longest time and has continued to gain renewed currency and vigor every season. Today, as we meet in Accra in the shadows of the world's celebration of another anniversary of the International Women's Day, we are enjoined as leaders of parliaments in Commonwealth Africa to take a pause and carry out some introspection and stock-taking, to see what has been achieved in the realm of empowering our women and what still remains to be done. Unless we do this now, the glass ceiling over this issue will continue to remain strong and seemingly unbreakable. I made a similar call to the Interparliamentary Union when we met just a few weeks ago at the headquarters of the United Nations in New York. In the international arena, there is already a plethora of impressive international instruments. They range from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, adopted in 1979, which is more or less an embodiment of an international Bill of Rights for women, to the decision of Commonwealth ministers responsible for Women's Affairs in 1996, to the Beijing Declaration, United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, to the establishment of the UN Women and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Despite the gradual and incremental nature of the process, all of these international instruments, individually and collectively, speak eloquently to the empowerment of women. And all together, they prescribe a threshold of 30% in that regard. Truly and verifiably, there has been some significant progress towards meeting this target in some countries. For example, of the 10 countries in the world with the highest representation of women in parliament, only 3 are from our ranks in the Commonwealth. Rwanda with 56%, South Africa with 44%, and Mozambique with 39%. But let us be clear. While these achievements give cause for a modicum of celebration, they do also point conspicuously to the fact that there is still a great deal of work to be done in this respect. Of course, the executive branch will tell you they've done their bit by negotiating and signing up to these instruments, and our parliaments in turn can reasonably argue that they've stepped up and done the necessary ratification to bring them into the mainstream of domestic legislation. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, what is needed now more than ever is not more and more new conventions, but rather the courage existing conventions we have already signed up to. Some action is urgently required to give impetus to the process of actual implementation. Leadership is required. In this regard, I believe the common values we share as African Commonwealth members cast a special obligation upon us to take the lead and show the rest of the world the way forward. This obligation is unique to us, not only because of the common values and principles we all share as Commonwealth members, but also because of the sheer recognition of the fact that it's been nearly 43 years since the CEDAW Convention, 27 years since the Beijing Declaration, 26 years since the Commonwealth Meeting of Ministers responsible for Commonwealth affairs, 21 years since the UN Security Council resolution, 11 years since the establishment of UN Women, and 7 years since the world set itself a set of targets in the Sustainable Development Goals. And today, in 2022, we are still talking, instead of making actual implementation the raison d'etre of our actions. Put simply, in practical terms, we should seize the opportunity that the convergence of responsibilities between the executive branch and the legislative branch gives us by refocusing priority and placing it on actual implementation of existing obligations under these instruments, to ensure that we achieve gender equality today as the surest guarantee for a sustainable tomorrow, instead of spending more and more resources on adopting new obligations only to add to the existing ones that are yearning for attention. This gathering here in Accra of the parliamentary leadership of Commonwealth Africa is therefore of great moment. It affords us the chance to seize the opportunity to take the lead and show the way in advancing this critical agenda forward. We must call for a halt in the adoption of more and more new international obligations, as there already exist crucial obligations waiting to be implemented. Ending discrimination against women and dramatically increasing their numbers in Parliament, in the executive branch, and in other leadership positions could unleash a more inclusive recovery for all people, not just for ensuring that the particular needs, interests, and experiences of women are captured in the decision-making process. That is not all. There is also the obligation to deliberately and determinedly create the environment necessary to enable women to take their rightful place in the decision-making portals of society. If the future development of our countries is to be sustainable, it is fundamental that the status of women should first be enhanced through education, education, and education. Education of the men to accept that women are equal partners for development. Education of the women to accept that they have a special role to play alongside the men. And education of the children to ensure that their future is assured and sustainable. Most countries, including my own, Sierra Leone, are already actively engaged in this process, and its progressive annual budgetary allocation is in full resonance with the sacred duty to ensure that there are equal rights and adequate educational opportunities for all citizens at all levels, but particularly so for the woman and the girl child. This is a commitment, Mr. Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, that must be kept alive and reinvigorated year in, year out, until gender equality is attained. Putting women and children at the center of our development agenda will fundamentally drive better and more sustainable development outcomes for all, support a more rapid recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, and place us back on a footing to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the new journey we must all embark upon. It may appear to be tough and arduous, but undertake we must. And like every journey, we must begin with a single step. The goal might look impossible. Even our friends might tell us we can't do it. We should ignore them. We are not stronger than the people who tell us we can't do it, but the difference is that we must believe in ourselves and in our capacity to change things for the better, for ourselves and for our future generations. With these few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I submit and I thank you for your kind attention.
The Right Honourable Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone and President of CPA Africa region, talking about ways of ensuring that women get a space in the world. And now it is the turn of the Honourable Galadima Zakariou, who is the Vice Chair of CPA Africa, to give us an address. And she will be speaking in the stead of the President of the CPA, the Right Honourable Justine Montori from Kenya. Chair.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana, who is standing in for Mr. President and Acting President of Ghana, Your Excellency, the First Deputy Speaker of Ghanaian Parliament, members of the CPA Executive Committee, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the press, other distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen. The Right Honorable Justin B.N. Muturi, Speaker of National Assembly of Kenya and Chairperson of the CPA Africa region, is unavoidably absent and has asked me to stand in for him. Therefore, my address represents my thoughts. It's that of the chairperson. I am delighted to address this gathering today on the occasion of the opening ceremony of the 82nd Executive Committee meeting of the CPA Africa region in the beautiful city of Accra. I would like to express my profound appreciation to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana through the Vice President and Acting President, for his support to the Parliament towards the successful hosting of this meeting. I also thank the Right Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana for his excellent arrangement towards the successful hosting of this meeting and the generous hospitality since our arrival in Accra. Many thanks to all those who have contributed in one way or the other in the making of the 82nd ESCOM a huge success. As you may all know, the CPA Africa region is one of the 9 regions of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Other areas are Asia, Australia, British and Mediterranean, Canada, Caribbean and Atlantic, America and Atlantic, India, Pacific and Southeast Asia. The CPA Africa region is governed by Coordinating Committee and Executive Committee, which is made up of representatives from across the region. The CPA Africa region comprises of 63 national and sub-national legislatures. Essentially, the CPA Africa region is to promote and protect the interests and perspectives of CPA Africa region, Parliament and countries in the Commonwealth and beyond, and to promote gender equality, emancipation of women and respect for human rights, freedom, democracy, and good governance. The association undertakes a number of activities, including annual regional conferences, seminars, and workshops to achieve its set goals. It is also important to state here that the CPA is committed to advancing issues relating to women and the youth. The Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, CWP, was founded to increase female elected representatives in parliaments and legislatures across member countries and ensure that women issues are brought to the fore in the parliament debates and legislature. I have high hopes that with the continued support of African governments, the CPA Africa region is well prepared to achieve its lofty ideals. I thank you for listening. May Allah bless. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, sir. And now, Your Excellency, distinguished honorable members, may I inform all of us that the Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana is unavoidably out of town. And so his able first deputy speaker is deputizing for him, and it's my pleasure to invite him to come and give us the welcome address. Usually in Ghana, we would have given the welcome address first, but we decided that we'll switch things up a bit and hear from you, and then we'll welcome you. And so please, join me in welcoming the first deputy speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, representing the Speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana and Acting President, Right Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone, and your colleagues, speakers and presiding officers of Commonwealth African parliaments, distinguished executive committee members, honorable ministers of state, members of parliament, members of the clergy. I don't see any here though. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I extend my profound gratitude to the executive committee members of CPA African region for choosing Ghana as the location for holding this august meeting. It is my pleasure to be with you here today, and I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to you all on behalf of the Parliament of Ghana, the land of gold, timber, and now oil, to this morning's function, which marks the official opening of the 82nd meeting of the Executive Committee of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, African Region here in Accra. Let me also express my sincere gratitude to you, Your Excellency, for making time out of your many commitments to come and grace this important conference. I'm also aware of the long distances some of you have traveled, coupled with the COVID protocols that have made travel these days very much of a drudgery. I say welcome to you all to Accra, Akwaba, Yani Yani, Sandazoa, Wezo. Your Excellency, having served as the Vice President of CPA International, there is no doubt in my mind that the framers of the Constitution of the CPA African region did an excellent job by delivering to us a very beautiful and well-crafted mission that perfectly fit our situation as a continent. The CPA mission statement has placed an onerous responsibility on not only ruling governments in Africa to deliver key services to the citizenry, but also on the legislatures to ensure that the interests, freedoms, rights, and peace of the people they represent are protected and enhanced. Your Excellency, in spite of the awareness of this onerous responsibility, our continent is bedeviled with myriad of challenges ranging from political, economic, security, health, and governance to COVID-19 recovery and post-pandemic reality. The African continent is confronted with intrastate conflict, terrorism, and unconstitutional changes of government with serious repercussions for poverty, unemployment, and other underlying governance issues to deal with. Your Excellency, honorable members, in the area of democracy and good governance, it is worrying to note that the democratic trajectory of the African continent does not appear to be linear or smooth. While one can say that democratically Africa is not regressing, events in several countries of late is certainly of serious concern to all of us. For instance, in 2020, the Mo Ibrahim Foundation Index of African Governance reported the first ever decline in average governance since its inception, and Freedom House also observed a decrease in freedom in 2022 African states in the year 2020. This gloomy democratic picture of our continent put into perspective the assertion by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa as far back as 2013 that Africa's failure to design and implement a successful democratic project is undermined mainly by poor economic management capacity, poor planning, macroeconomic and political instabilities, and limited investment in social economic infrastructure. The assertion by the UN is still true today. According to Gideon Strauss, a senior fellow of the Center for Public Justice and an associate professor in Worldview Studies at the Institute for Christian Studies, African development problems can be summarized to include far too low economic growth rate, stalled industrial development since the 1970s, high levels of poverty, hunger, poor education, ill health and violence, high rates of urbanization and urban growth, corruption, and globalization. It is ironic that more than 60 years after independence, these challenges are still with us, with the majority of Africans still chained in poverty, ignorance, ill-educated, mostly because they lack the skills and the capital necessary to prosper. Your Excellency, honorable members, invited guests, I do not have the slightest doubt that these problems are within the capacity of the continent to handle. If real political commitment is brought to bear on them, the solutions to these problems are in our hands. We can no longer blame anybody for our inability to address our challenges more than 60 years after independence. According to the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, Africa's history demands that Africans must do everything in their power to defend the gains that have been achieved, to encourage all other countries on the continent to move in the same direction, according to which the people shall govern, and to enhance the capacity of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, to act as an effective instrument for peace and promotion of human and people's rights, to which we are committed. Africa's youngest population want better and more accountable governance through democracy and development simultaneously. As representatives of the people seeking the interests of the people, legislatures are under pressure to adopt innovative approaches to increase their capacity not only to hold governments accountable for expenditures made, but more importantly, to hold the executive accountable on the extent to which government is providing solutions to key socioeconomic challenges confronting the citizenry. Legislatures are therefore called upon to support the executive by passing the appropriate laws, approving adequate budgetary allocations, bringing the interest of the people to the fore, and holding the executive to account, so that the mission of the CPA Africa to ensure respect for human rights, freedoms, democracy, and good governance becomes a living reality. Your Excellency, honorable members, it is, however, important for us to understand that the ability of parliaments to carry out these responsibilities largely depend on the extent of their independence through the executive. Parliaments in Africa must be seen to be moving away from being perceived as rubber stamps to ones that take decisions based on informed perspectives rather than being an appendage to the executive. The current near-hanged parliament in Ghana, where the House is divided equally between the government's party and the minority, with one independent member, is a sign that parliaments in Africa can be independent of the executive. We should be proud that the stable parliamentary democracy is gaining grounds in Africa. The Fourth Republican Parliament of Ghana has proven the most enduring in Ghana's democratic history, having experienced 8 successful presidential and parliamentary elections, resulting in 3 smooth transfers of political power from one political party to another. Ghana can confidently claim to be a beacon of democracy in Africa. Having inherited such an enviable record, the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic is poised to lead Ghanaians to consolidate, if not entrench, this enviable democratic culture in the country. CPA status. The issue of change of status of CPA from being a charitable entity to a fully fledged international organization remains a matter of concern to the African region members of CPA in particular. The CPA must cease to exist as a charity organization and transition into an international diplomatic organization that facilitates economic diplomacy, strengthens democracy, and promotes fundamental human rights among member associations. Ultimately, the CPA should create progressive links between the member countries and the United Nations. The current mandate of the CPA appears to be limited under its current status of a registered charity organization in the UK. This is because even though the association has evolved considerably over time, many countries, including those not under British domain, have joined the CPA. There is therefore an urgent need to review the Constitution to make it more effective, give it a global look, and grant the association a diplomatic status rather than remaining in its current status of a charitable organization. I'm aware of the efforts being made by members of the country to correct this anomaly, and I urge the Executive Committee to remain resolute in their position of changing the status of the CPA from a charitable organization. Therefore, appealing to the CHOGM to give its support to the call for the amendment of the Constitution of the CPA. Women representation in Parliament. While there is increasing evidence globally that more women than ever are being elected to parliaments, the issue of equality is still a long way off, as progress is far too slow. In our continent, it's evident that most parliaments are still heavily male-dominated, contrary to the ideals of the mission of the CPA African region. For instance, in the current 8th Parliament of Ghana, out of the 275 members, only 40 females are members of parliament. In a country where about 51% of the population are females, this is a gross injustice to our female counterparts. We are aware of the bottlenecks, and we must confront these bottlenecks. Discrimination and cultural beliefs that limit women's role in society, balancing private, family, and political life, gaining support from political parties, and securing campaign funding are some of the factors limiting women entry into the legislature. The CPA African region should pay closer attention to the issues limiting women participation in governance in its deliberations. We need to address this inequality by putting in place adequate legal and policy frameworks to provide a level playing field for both women and men. These are matters that must be part of the discussions of the Executive Committee of the CPA African region. Implementation of AU Agenda 2063, the UN Agenda 2030. Two main global development agendas. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, otherwise known as the SDGs, and the Africa Agenda 2063 acknowledged the need for inclusiveness and partnership across the globe. In our efforts at finding lasting solutions to the global development problems, this is not exclusive to Africa. Among the 7 aspirations of Agenda 2063 is a prosperous Africa based on the inclusive growth and the sustainable development. Similarly, Goal 16 of the 17 SDGs seeks to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Your Excellency, honorable members, these 2 goals, if pursued painstakingly by countries within the continent, are designed to ensure inclusiveness in our societies and build partnership towards solving the myriad of development problems facing the African continent would be achieved. It is my fervent hope that parliaments in Africa continue to hold executive accountability for the implementation of projects and programs geared towards the attainment of these 2 goals. Africa's identity. As a continent, we must continue to maintain, protect, and enhance our unique identity, dignity, and image as a people. We must continue to be proud of our heritage and of the significant place we occupy in the community of nations. Africa cannot abandon her identity, traditions, and culture for that of other people. As demanded by the concept of the African personality, which was led by Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, we cannot copy attitudes, values, and etiquettes of other countries that are antithetical to our values and principles, what we believe in, and what we stand for. It is the duty of parliaments in the African continent to deepen democratic governance by promulgating good laws founded on the will, norms, expectations, and aspirations of those we represent. In short, let me emphasize that the primary responsibility for addressing the challenges we face as Africans rests with us. African business people will have to create the industries that will generate the jobs for African workers need. The African teachers will have to provide the education that African children need to be economically productive and politically effective. African nurses and doctors will have to do the hard work of raising the quality of healthcare Africans need. African parents will have to give their children the love, security, and discipline, they need to grow into responsible and courageous adults. African political leaders will have to make the changes that will reduce corruption and generate the laws, policies, and practices needed to enable and encourage these preceding non-political efforts. And African citizens will have to create the popular pressure that pushes African governments towards these necessary changes. The Executive Committee must make this meeting a valuable, experiential, and participatory one. Those decisions would inure to the benefit of the continent of Africa as a whole. I look forward to a fruitful meeting. I thank you all for your attention.
And now we'll take a brief cultural interlude. They say that dance and music is the language that is best understood by all. And as Africans, one of the ways that we express ourselves is through language and dance. And so please sit back and enjoy the dances from the various parts of our beautiful country, Ghana. Round of applause for the Ghana Dance Ensemble from Ghana's University, the University of Ghana. May we give them a resounding round of applause, please. And now it is my humble duty and absolute pleasure to invite the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, who is acting as President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, to give us his keynote address.
Thank you very much. Please have your seat. The Honorable Joseph Osei-Usu, First Deputy Speaker of the Republic of Ghana, standing in for the Speaker of Parliament, the President of the CPA Africa region, Right Honorable Dr. Abbas Bundu, Speaker of the Sierra Leonean Parliament, representative of the Chairman of the Executive Committee of the CPA Africa region, Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu, Majority Leader of the Parliament of Ghana, the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Vice Chairperson of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Minority Leader of the Parliament of Ghana, I believe ties in perfectly with the mission statement of the CPA Africa region, which is to, and I quote, to promote and protect the interests and perspectives of the CPA Africa regional parliaments and countries into the Commonwealth and beyond, and to promote gender equality, emancipation of women, and respect for human rights, freedom, democracy, and good governance, end quote. Mr. Speaker, in this regard, I urge this committee to continue to champion the resolution of constitutional issues facing the CPA, including in particular the key issue of the status as a charity organization. It is my conviction that the resolution of this matter will pave the way for more flexibility in raising the necessary revenue resources to run the affairs of this group. As a group of parliamentarians, the CPA Africa region is also in a unique position to contribute to the resolution of challenges on security and related matters currently facing the continent. Mr. Speaker, as representatives of the varied and diverse people of the African continent, I can only urge you to strengthen your constructive engagements with respective parliaments in support of their governments for lasting solutions to the myriad of issues confronting our citizenry. While we continue to make major strides at the political, economic, and socio-cultural front on the continent, there remain concerns about general decline in democratic governance, with indications of a reversal or subversion of some democratic principles such as freedom of speech, freedom of association, general respect for the rule of law, free and fair elections, and peaceful transfer of democratic power from one regime to another. Mr. Speaker, as parliamentarians, the recent spate of military interventions in our sub-region should give cause for concern. Democratic governance is gradually coming under threat on the continent. It is a notorious fact, regrettable though, that in the event of any instability, it is always the legislative arm of government that suffers the brunt, because the legislative arm is usually proscribed. Mr. Speaker, manipulating constitutional provisions to serve sectional political interests should not under any circumstance be encouraged amongst you as representatives of the people. As such, actions only undermine the integrity of our nations apart from eroding the gains we make as a people. I urge you, honorable members, as trustees of the people's authority, to jealously guard against our democratic gains, since you are directly in contact with your constituents at all times. Mr. Speaker, these can best be achieved when you harness your collective effort in furtherance of the public interest. It is also important to remind ourselves that as political leaders, we have the responsibility to build the confidence of our people in democratic governance by demonstrating selfless leadership. Right Honorable Speaker, terror attacks and threats of attacks in some areas of the continent have triggered discussions on the need for early warnings mechanisms. Recent military interventions in countries such as Mali, Guinea, Sudan, Burkina Faso, and Chad are undesirable, to say the least, as they set our countries and region back. These developments, coupled with internet shutdowns, politics of exclusion, and rising cases of third termism, among other similar occurrences, are additional evidences of the decline in our national reconstruction efforts in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, the GDP of Africa is about $2.7 trillion. And this makes Africa, as one economy, the 5th largest economy in the world. However, we must not lose sight of the fact that Africa continues to be the weakest link in the world economic order. Intra-African trade, the convergence of our currencies, at least on a sub-regional basis, and the easing of national border restrictions, open skies policies, are some of the ways we can create more homogeneous political and economic units for our economies. It is in this regard that I consider the opportunity offered by the AFCFTA very unique for us to begin to adopt policies to vigorously promote trade amongst ourselves. Just a couple of months ago, I had the honor of launching the Pan-African Payments and Settlements System, PAPS. This is a payments and settlement system which allows for the settlement of trade transactions amongst African countries in local currency. So we don't need anymore to go through third-party currencies to resolve or to settle our trade amongst ourselves. So you can pay in cedis and import something from Kenya, or someone can pay in Kenyan shillings and import something from Botswana. And there will be settlement. And this is a major innovation and a major policy that is going to help us as far as trade in Africa is concerned. And this is now operational. We've worked on it for a few years. We piloted it in the West African Monetary Zone, and it is now operational. And it is being championed by Afro-Exim Bank along with the central banks. It's so major. In fact, I have described it as the most important development in monetary affairs in Africa since 1963. Mr. Speaker, this agenda, if well pursued, would not only boost Africa's trading position in the global market, but also strengthen Africa's common voice and policies space in global trade negotiations, a key factor which appears to be missing in our engagement in world trade and economic order. Mr. Speaker, the current composition of Ghana's parliament, I believe, is not exclusively unique to us. It's certainly indicative of a voter population that desires consensus building for a unified political force rather than the divisive, overly partisan, winner-takes-all, intolerant political system which obtained and unfortunately still remains in many African countries. The emerging trend, close to parity in numbers of seats in parliament between majority and minority parties, as obtains also in Sierra Leone, behoves us to perhaps begin to adopt in our procedures and processes new ways of doing business with focus on a collective approach to delivering the requisite public goods and services for which the citizenry have entrusted us with their mandate. We cannot relent in our effort to ensure that we live by the ideals and principles of all-inclusive government, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Mr. Speaker, practices that affect women and children and the marginalized in society should no longer be considered as economic or social issues, but as issues that have direct correlations with democratic governance. It is a democratic imperative that we promote the representation of women and the marginalized in governance. The 2020 data tells us that women are 50.1% of the population of Africa. Mr. Speaker, it is heartwarming to note that the trend of underrepresentation of women in legislatures is changing across the globe and must be sustained. According to the Interparliamentary Union, the year 2020 was marked by continued gradual progress for women in Parliament, recording 0.6% increase despite the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic and its impact. The global average for the proportion of women in Parliament reached an all-time high of 25.5%. Women won 22.6% of all seats up for renewal in 2020 in 701 chambers across 57 countries. Women took 22.9% of the unicameral or lower chamber seats up for renewal and 21.6% of the upper chamber seats. Mr. Speaker, despite these modest gains, we should not relent in our efforts to ensure increased representation and participation of not only women, but all vulnerable groups in order to make democratic governance and more effective of the social strata more reflective of the social strata of society. The countries that subscribe to the first past the post system, including Ghana, where women and other marginalized people are underrepresented, must interrogate their constitutions to find the rightful solutions to increase women representation in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought in its wake many challenges with economic and political implications. Not unexpectedly, countries in Africa bore the brunt of these challenges. Current vaccine wars are unfortunately not helping matters. It is our aim to get our people vaccinated and have boosters administered to them while we fervently hope for permanent solutions in the immediate future. Now more than ever before, African countries need to have well-structured COVID-19 recovery programs with a clear focus on economic diversification and competitiveness, acceleration of human capital development in collaboration with local industries and tertiary institutions, structural reforms to reposition the private sector-led growth at the forefront, and increasing domestic revenue mobilization and improving the quality of public expenditure by introducing greater transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, the future of our continent is definitely not a gloomy one. There is evidence that a robust democratic culture is growing in many parts of the continent. Peaceful elections and transfer of power in Ghana, Liberia, and Gambia, for instance, are good examples. These have been replicated in most parts of the continent, despite the few unfortunate interventions in countries I made reference to earlier. The gains made in our own country, for example, with almost 30 years of democratic governance after 4 military interventions since independence, with an almost hung parliament and a speaker from a party other than the one in government, are signs that democracy on the continent is indeed maturing. As you get ready to go to Sierra Leone, bear in mind that Africa needs a level playing field in economics and politics. Barriers and impediments must be removed. Let us all speak with one voice and walk the talk. On this note, I warmly welcome you to our beautiful city, Accra, the capital of our beloved country. Please enjoy our weather and cuisine. Our city is safe to explore with relatively very low crime rates. Do have a good stay, and I wish you fruitful deliberations and a safe journey back. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless you all, and God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, acting as the President of the Republic of Ghana, delivering the keynote address to us. Now, may I invite the Honorable Leteng Ntombi Mekwe, Speaker of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature and Treasurer of the CPA Africa region, to give us the vote of thanks. The Honorable Leteng Ntombi Mekwe to give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I know that at times pronunciation can be problematic, but I do accept, as long as it is not an insult, how you pronounce my name. Thank you very much. Let me first thank our Program Director for allowing me to come and make a vote of thanks. I know that in our culture, this is a very simple thing to do. In Africa, we always thank people for doing very well, including yourself, Program Director. The guest of honor, His Excellency, the Acting President of the Republic of Ghana, the Right Honorable Bakbin, Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana, who is the President of CPA Ghana Branch and Vice President of CPA International, represented by Right Honorable Deputy Speaker Owesu, our Honorable, in Isesotho I could have said Khaladima, the Member of Parliament and the Vice Chairperson of the Executive Committee, CPA Africa region, the Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone and President of the CPA Africa region, the Right Honorable Dr. Bundu, Honorable Ponsu, the Majority Leader of Parliament of Ghana and Vice Chair, the CPA West Africa Regional Representative, as well as the Vice Chair of the CPA International, our good friend, the First Deputy Majority Whip of Parliament of Ghana, the Minority Leader Parliament of Ghana and the CPA Ghana Branch Representative, the executive members of the CPA Africa Region, MPs, speakers, and the deputy speakers, members of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, led by the Vice President of the CWP, members of the Budget Committee, members of the Program Planning and Finance Subcommittee, members of the media, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, our Program Director, for steering this ship in the right direction. You ran this program so well. It is really an honor to be given this rare opportunity to convey the vote of thanks as we conclude the prestigious opening ceremony for the 82nd Executive Committee meeting of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Africa Region, hosted by the CPA Ghana Branch. On behalf of the Executive Committee members, committees, as well as subcommittees, I wish to convey our deepest gratitude for the warm reception from our arrival and the hospitality that we continue to receive from the people of Ghana. You know, if you were to come to my country, the way we were accepted, when I saw my photo, somebody said, "Is this not you?" You know, you would have run away and said, maybe there's something wrong that you have done. But the way we were received, it was just an honor as well and a good reception. We're also honored, Mr. President. We're also honored, Mr. Vice President, to have been here at the same time when Ghana celebrates 65 years of independence. In the sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana was the first country to achieve independence, and I am joined by many in congratulating Ghana on its endurance and victories. If I was in South Africa, I was going to say, Amandla ngawethu, matla karuna, and power to the people. May God bless Ghana and her people. I want to attest that indeed, the African people are capable of managing their own affairs. The rich culture of Ghana, the cuisine of all variety, the nature and hard work of the Ghanaians that strives to bring about prosperity and a better life for all, exemplified by the variety of fruits and vegetables that we have so enjoyed. The unique and famous Kente fabric and many salient features of Ghana all testify about the freedom that Ghana and its people continue to enjoy. Our visit here also coincides with the International Women's Day, organized under the theme of Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. The annual commemoration of International Women's Day puts emphasis on the fight against various forms of discrimination, biases, and stereotypes that women continue to bear. Our gathering as the Executive Committee of the CPA Africa will, amongst other things, delve on the strides of the Commonwealth women parliamentarians and the women in the world to address the issues that continue to affect women, in particular social, economic, political justice, and development. It is important to reiterate that the struggle for gender equality and women emancipation is not only a struggle for women. Men must also stand up and toil side by side by women. The late President of Mozambique, President Samora Machel, addressed the Mozambique Women's Organization in 1973, and his words still encourages all of us to understand that, I quote, "The emancipation of women is not an act of charity, the result of humanitarian or compassionate attitude. The liberation of women is a fundamental necessity for the revolution, a guarantee for its continuity, and a precondition for its victory." I close quote. These words of President Machel sound as true for our continent as they did then. Women have a crucial role to play in the realization of Africa we want, as proclaimed by the Vision of Africa 2063. Today, I want to say to all women, Malibongwe. Through our gathering, we speak to promote our democracies and come up with solutions that are fit for Africa and her people. As we adjust from the devastating effects of COVID-19 pandemic, we seek solutions that will move Africa forward and in accord. We express our sincerest appreciation to His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for raising issues that were pertinent in our discussion and the advancement and well-being of the people of our greater continent. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I thank the CPA Ghana branch for making our stay a memorable one. I thank my fellow members of the Executive Committee, speakers and presiding officers, members of Parliament, the Secretariat, and the support staff for the well-organized meetings. The excursion, it was so nice for that tour yesterday, and we all enjoyed. And all logistical arrangements that were made to make our stay so pleasant. We look forward to the fruitful engagements for the remaining part of the program, and once again, thank you and wishing you a good further day. In my capacity as the Speaker of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature in South Africa, I'm also looking forward to receive a delegation from Ghana Parliament in Gauteng, South Africa at the right time, and I'm aware that the arrangements, Minority Leader, are in progress. I wish to say thank you very much, Likamuso Nangomuso, as our former President of the Republic of South Africa, Dr. Nelson Mandela could have said. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. And now, we will have a group photograph respectfully with the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana at the entrance of this building once we are done with proceedings here. But before that, may I call on the Honorable Member for K2 South of the Parliament of Ghana, the Honorable Jifa Gumashi Abla, to give us the closing prayer.
Good morning, everybody. My task here is to pray on the International Women's Day, so I wish all women a happy day. I pray, Lord, that you grant us your grace. Let favor continue to find us. Let us continue to serve you in truth. Let us take each day a step to get to know you closer and to fulfill our destiny. We ask that you grant traveling mercies to all those who have traveled here from far and near to participate in this conference. Lord, we ask that you send them back to their families safely, and when they do arrive, they will give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. I commit Ghana and Africa into your hands. May we continue to serve this continent that you have given us and make it great and strong, and to leave it perfect for the children who are yet unborn, to come and testify for your goodness. Let us take decisions that continue to make our country and our continent the example that the world needs. You have endowed this continent with so much. Father, help us take decisions to protect it and to let it serve us. For this and many requests we have prayed with thanksgiving. Amen.
please proceed to the entrance of this building. His Excellency, the Vice President and his entourage will join us, but will the participants please take the lead and arrange photographers, if we would go and arrange for the photograph while we get the Vice President and his entourage to join you. Yeah, so that you don't go and stand and wait for them. Very quickly, His Excellency the Vice President will join us, we'll take the full group photograph, and then we'll break into groups.